Still a good turnout, even though it's Wednesday.
I thought for a second.
And we are live.
I thought for a second you were going to just go live with a. I thought for a second you were just going to go live with a picture of a 747 on flames. Oh my gosh! Like,
you're going to have to go out if you're going to keep yowling. Really? Come on in, come sit up here then.
it's thrilling. That's how we should start PTUK every week.
Mima, come on.
I do hope we're not going to start late.
Huh? Need to start the clock.
Okay. Have a great show. Bye, guys.
Starting.
Cheers, Armando. Be safe.
Bye, Armando. Fade is coming down.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 487 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. In this week's pack show, we've got it all from a tail strike in Toronto, a TUI jet gets very delayed, and a passenger stuck in a toilet. As we do love a bit of toilet humour on PTUK. We'll hear from Armando about an incident in America, and we've got some entries for our book competition. In the military this week, we'll hear about an expensive incident with a torch and an explosive story about cakes. Back again this week, he's returned from the colonies and must surely have plenty to tell us about his travels. It is, of course, Sir Neville Bounds.
I am, yes. And actually, nothing to report, really, which is I find incredible. We were going to Portland last week, and very cold it was, -12 degrees, and lots of ice storms, which we missed most of, but walking out there was not a lot of fun, I have to say. But a great flight on the 787-8 of BA in both directions, lovely, and nothing went wrong. Unbelievable. That's never happened to me on a flight for ages. So, yes, it was very good. And a great aircraft. I like the Dreamliner. So, yes, happy to be back. Well, just for a few days. Then I'm off to Barcelona on Sunday for a week. Because we've got a big show that we're doing over there, where it'll be warmer, I'm pleased to say. So, that's my travels so far.
So you had fun with the BA boys this time, Nev. You had a nice little surprise as well, didn't you?
I did, yes. They gave me a... Well, I mentioned that I was... Because I mentioned the podcast, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to be, retiring next year at some point, so I'll have some more time." So they very kindly gave me a card which says, "From us to you in all life's journeys," and it's the crew signed it, and it says, "To Mr. Bounds, wishing you a very happy retirement a year early. Your BA 266 crew PDX to LHR 19th of the 1st, 2024. Golf Zulu Bravo Juliet India." So that was nice, wasn't it? And they gave me a bottle of champagne as well. How about that? So it was very, very nice of them. Very nice of them indeed. Yeah, thanks to Tom, who was the cabin crew lead on that flight coming back. And hopefully we may have gained a new listener, because I gave Tom a business card as well.
Oh, excellent. Well done. I'm glad you had a good trip, Nev. I'm guessing the flight was unhindered and the food was astounding, and you had your usual seat.
We missed all that really bad weather. So we got a nice, short flight coming back from Portland, but very, very smooth, I must say, in both directions. Hardly a wobble of the champagne. So that was great.
So we've got no Armando this week, as we said, but he has got a video coming up later on for one of the stories we're covering this week. Matt is, as you can probably guess, because I'm sitting here in the studio, Matt is away this week. He's on his way. He's actually on his way to an airport, funny enough. He's on his way to Stansted to go and pick Mama Smith up on her return from Dublin. Where me and Nev are heading, not too distant future, aren't we, Nev? More on that later. But we have got our kind of the guy who does a lot of work in the background during the week when we're all busy working away. And welcome back, Nick. Good to see you on the show again.
Hi, Carlos. Good to be here. I thought I'd just come and keep an eye on you. What with Matt being away, things don't always run as nicely as they could do when Matt's around, do they? And we do miss Matt being around.
We'll stop your payments through, I think, Nick. After that,
yeah, I need to speak to HR about that. There's been some irregularities.
But no, good to see you on. But we've got a guest on this week. We've got a guest on this week again, and it's safe to say that I think he's very much part of the furniture here on PTUK. He seems to loiter quite heavily on the show, but we love it.
And I never get paid.
But we love it because we love to see him. It's of course Andy. Andy, good to see you.
Good evening, Happy New Year. It's been a long while since last one was Christmas show, wasn't it?
Yeah, Christmas show.
Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah. Nice to see you all. Thanks for having us again.
A busy time for you, Andy. You've been flying much, or have you been still office-based?
I've done one trip out. I went out to Bâle just before Christmas. It's in northern Switzerland on the German border.
Oh, okay.
Lovely place. It was the only place that wasn't fog-bound that day as well, which was very nice. But no, I've been spending my time in Gatwick or here in the office or out in Milan. Got a busy few weeks coming up as I get ready for the next sim modules, so I'm testing a lot. I'm going down to Gatwick in a week and a half to spend 3 days in the simulator testing out ideas, which would be good fun. But yeah, all good.
Blimey. Something that we need to brush up on, Nev, is some sim training ready for a special thing that's coming up soon for us.
Yes, I'm a bit worried about the captain that's going to be critiquing us as well. But we'll talk about that later on.
Yes, perhaps we better, yeah. Going to say hello to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this evening. Going to say hello to top of the list Hobby Timers in there nice and early. Hello to you. Our local listener, Mazoos. Good to see you in there as well. Mazoos Karim, good to see you. Flyer152 is also in there. Hello to you. Captain Cruz. Wouldn't be the chat room without Captain Cruz in there. Richard Adams as well. Great to see you in there, Richard. He's got a beer on the go. Well, that's what the icon says next to his name there with a beer. Good to see you in there. We have got as well Dirk S. Hello, Dirk. The lovely Tanya. Hello, Tanya. Great to see you in there. Ian. Hello to you as well. Good to see you in there. Bill's tuned in. He's ready to rock and roll this evening. The lovely Mash is also in there as well. Hope you're enjoying this more warmer weather, Masha. I think you've got the similar weather to us at the moment. Mike's also in there as well. Good to see you, Mike. He is in Missouri. Oh, blimey, he's a few miles away from us here. Good to see you in the chat room. We've got, let me make sure I don't miss anyone else. Neil Landwarn's in there. Hello, Neil. Great to see you in there as well. As always, Neil. And welcome, one and all, to our new slot on Wednesday nights here, where we do the live show on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock on YouTube each week. Don't forget, if you are listening to us on the audio podcast, as I know a lot of you guys and girls do, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Give us a follow and a like while you're there as well. And we are live every week here on YouTube at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night instead of a Friday. We've got a packed show, as we said, to get through. Nev's going to pull the winner of the book out of his hat this week. He's got all the names ready to rock and roll, haven't you, Nev?
Yes, and I've got a new quiz question for this coming week as well. And a very interesting prize, a different prize this week.
A different prize?
Not a book.
Oh!
Something else.
Blimey, more on that later. Right, so if all the team is ready, we've got loads of great news stories to go through this week. So if all the team is ready, we'll do some commercial news.
Off we go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
Now, this first news story, I'm looking forward to Andy's breakdown on this once I've read the story. This happened this week on the news. Made quite a bit of patter on social media, actually, with pictures and stuff. This is a French A350 suffers tail strike on landing in Toronto. This comes from the Aviation source news.com. So an Airbus A350, an Air France one, suffered a tail strike while landing at Toronto on Sunday, the 21st of January this year. The Air France A350-900 had been operating the long-haul flight AF356 from Paris Charles de Gaulle to Toronto Pearson International Airport when the landing incident occurred. Following an approach to runway 24 left, the wide-body aircraft bounced on touchdown and the aircraft tail assembly subsequently made contact with the runway surface during the landing flare. Following the tail strike, the flight crew initiated a go-around procedure and repositioned for a further approach to runway 24 left. The flight subsequently landed from the second attempt without further incident, and no injuries were reported amongst the complement of passengers and crew during the first landing attempt. However, the aircraft sustained substantial fuselage damage as a result of the impact. Photographs taken by an observer show the extent of the contact made by the aircraft's tailplane assembly following the bounced landing. The aircraft involved in the incident was an A350-900, as we said, registration Foxtrot Hotel Tango Yankee Hotel, a 2-year-old wide-body aircraft belonging to the French national carrier. Now, what do we think happened here? I'm just going to pop some video up on the screen while Andy tells you all about what happened here. Andy?
Well, it had a tail strike. Yeah, where is this video? Is this the video of it?
I'm just going to run here. That's the one of the pictures that was taken by a photographer. I think that was really good picture. Actually shows, yeah, quite a sparking in improvement there. Safe to say, some definite paint removal there from well, that's the APU exhaust, isn't it, Andy? And
it is, yeah, and they've given it a real good scrape.
I'm just going to run the video. Here we go. We'll run the video.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they actually touched down at this point, but they go to initiate a go around, and it looks to me like they just over rotated. Because the Airbus flight control system handles differently in ground mode or flight mode. It's basically a direct low, so it's direct stick to pitch input instead of load factor, which is in flight mode. So it looks like they just got a bit carried away with the stick in pitch, and that's what caused the tail strike, unfortunately. There's no protection for it. It can happen. It's quite an unfortunate incident, really.
What would the aircraft have on the display, Andy, in terms of giving you a kind of an angle indicator? Is that something that you would generally keep an eye on during the flare?
During the flare, definitely. In the 320, if the pitch is above 7 or 8 degrees, I think it is, then we should call out pitch to the pilot flying just to remind them you need to derotate a little bit more. But in this case, you can also see in ground mode, there's a little crosshair on the PFD, which actually shows the side stick position. So it gives a clear indication of how far aft, forward, or left and right that the stick has been moved. But again, you should be looking outside visually at this point, not looking to over-rotate the aircraft and the rate at which you're rotating. It seems to me that they may have touched down slightly, gone to initiate the go-round, and again, because it acts like a conventional aircraft, with the thrust on, you're going to get a nose-up reaction as well. So you've got to be really careful. In some cases, if you do a balk landing, which is what this was essentially, you may have to pitch forward. So they may have just gone into sort of go-around mode of immediately pitching back, but it might have been more appropriate to reduce the attitude, get climbing away from the ground, and then go into a go-around attitude.
The other thing is with this, of course, at the end of a long flight with fairly lightweight and an all-engine go-around, from those engines, you've got a lot of power there, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of thrust. Yeah. I'm just actually looking.
There is a aircraft,
diagram.
Andy, I don't know if the A3 or the Airbus or the Boeing, I'm sure I've seen it on aircraft. Don't they have some sort of bump stop on the tail of the aircraft to sort of negate these kind of situations happening, or is that something that's fitted to certain aircraft?
I think it's fitted to certain aircraft. The 320 family certainly doesn't have it. I know the 76 does, the 777 does. I don't think the 747 has it. I think it all depends on what the manufacturer thinks necessary.
Perhaps they should equip Air France aircraft with a fourth wheel like they had on Concorde.
Concorde, yeah.
Just for the Air France crews. Sorry, I'm just expecting comments now and things like that.
Emails coming in.
But there's been a bit of previous form, not for this sort of thing, but other incidents, hasn't there? So
yeah, I think this is probably going to be a case of check over and repaint and back in the air, but it's going to be out of the mix for a while, I'd imagine, Andy.
Yeah, and just here's something from the 320. I thought I'd look at it while I was here. There is in rotation mode on the Neo aircraft. There is it built in into the software. It's a rate demand in ground modes. Like I said, it's direct input, but there is tail strike protection, and there's just a little line in the FCOM that says the flight crew can override this. So there's nothing to stop you from actually hitting the tail in the 320, which has happened. So I don't know if that's the same on the 350 or not.
Still a slap wrist though from the chief pilot, Andy.
Yeah.
Nev, you got the next one, and I think this story is definitely about an airport that you know fairly well.
I seem to spend an awful lot of time at this airport. Yeah, it's on the dailyrecord.co.uk, and it says that Edinburgh Airport has been quietly sold off in a £9.8 billion deal. I have to say, that doesn't seem very much money for what it all is. But anyway, it says that the airport's been snapped up by US bankers alongside a collection of companies in a multi-billion-pound deal. Fund manager BlackRock has bought Global Infrastructure Partners, whose assets include the Capital Airport, along with Gatwick Airport, and ports around Scotland. In this deal, and as The Guardian reported, Larry Fink, 71, chairman and CEO of BlackRock, said, infrastructure is one of the most exciting long-term investment opportunities. Policymakers are only just beginning to implement once-in-a-generation financial incentives for new infrastructure technologies and projects. The sale comes after customer numbers at Edinburgh Airport rebounded to near pre-pandemic levels in the first half of last year. The airport itself has continued its strong recovery following the end of COVID-19, and passenger numbers for the 6 months ending 30th of June 2023 were 6.6 million, which is 93% of the equivalent period in 2019. Revenue for the 6 months to June 2023 was £119 million, which is a 15% increase on the equivalent period in 2019. Now, I must say, I'm always very impressed with the airport, especially the security bit, because I don't often, praise the security checking part of it all, but they do a really good job there, and I think they must be on some sort of bonus to get people through as quickly as they can, because they are extremely efficient, I must say. Now, it can be a bit busy there sometimes, but even when it is, it seems to run pretty well, I have to say. The only time it did go a bit wrong was when we had those shortages of staff earlier last year. But actually now it's working really well, and I must say I do like using the airport, but it has become very busy indeed, especially in the main concourse now. But no, good news. If there's more investment going into it, so much the better.
You've been travelling from there for so long, Nev. Have you noticed an increase in passenger throughput through.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I started flying there in 1985 for work on the BA 757 shuttles up from Heathrow. And there was a few sort of holiday destinations, but you've got Emirates flying in and out of there now. You've got Air Canada, United, and some fairly heavy metal going in and out of Edinburgh now as well. So it's a good option for those people that want to go to the to North America or to the Middle East as well on certain flights and routes. So yeah, it's good.
Nev, do you find security in there like queuing for a Disney ride? Because I find when I go through there, you never know which one of the lanes you're actually going to, because it snakes up and down around. The next thing you go around a corner that you didn't see before, and then there's another corner, and then suddenly you're at your security point.
Yes, well, I don't go in that queue, obviously, where the great unwashed are.
No, you join it halfway down. That's the only advantage you get with your flash card.
Actually, they have improved that very recently, and just in the last couple of months, in fact. And what they've done is that you can actually, with the fast track area, you can actually get quite all the way down to the end of the queue now. But then it does merge at the end, and we have to do this sort of standoff where we're waiting to see whether the regular passengers are going to go first or we're going to go first or whatever. But
the regular passengers.
Sorry, that sounded very pretentious, didn't it? It was meant to. No, they have done quite a good job of that, I must say. The only thing, now this is going to be massively controversial. I don't even know if I can say it, actually.
Well, you need to have a rant at some point.
PA announcements at the gates. The PA system leaves a bit to be desired anyway, but the people that use the PA system insist on shouting at it, down it, and the cacophony of sound in this highly reverberant space, with some passengers that may not be familiar with the Edinburgh accent, especially those where English is not their first language, is a bit ridiculous. They need to just calm it down a bit and stop shrieking quite so much, I would say. And I apologise to so many of my friends and customers who are from north of the border, but I'm sure you know what I mean, because you've been there as well, haven't you? So just a thought.
Yeah. And my accent's bad enough as it is.
Well, I'm bringing up 888 on the subtitles to understand what you're saying half the time.
That's a very old school reference.
Oh, very good. Going to say a quick hello as well to Oscar's joined us in the chat room this evening, and also to Andy as well from Airliners Live. Hello, Andy. Good to see you in there from Airliners Live, and congratulations again to you guys for reaching 1 million. Honestly, you guys do such a superb job, and I'm not going to lie. I do spend a little bit of time watching the live stream when I'm on my dinner break. I will say, that's all I'm going to say on the matter. So next up, Andy, you've got the next story on the list here, and we're heading over to Japan.
Yeah, so this story, it's a former flight attendant named as first female president of Japan Airlines. Japan Airlines has named its first female president, a former cabin attendant who rose through the ranks to senior management, taking a deeply symbolic step in a country struggling to close a vast gender gap at work. Mitsuko Totori, who began her career as a cabin attendant at JAL in 1985, has been named the first female president of the airline, making a significant move towards gender equality in Japan's workforce. Her promotion is seen as a catalyst for change in a country with a significant gender pay gap. The appointment coincides with JAL's recovery efforts following the pandemic and recent safety concerns highlighted by a collision between a JAL plane and a Coast Guard aircraft. Totori brings extensive safety and service experience to the role. The 59-year-old has held positions that influence the development of JAL's safety procedures and brand identity. She oversaw the carrier's cabin safety division as a senior manager, and later on she also led departments such as the cabin attendant department and customer service, and even in charge of brand communication. JAL's aim for women to constitute 30% of its JAL aims for women to constitute 30% of its managerial positions by March 2026. By the end of March 23, the corresponding figure was 22.8%. The outgoing president, Yuki Akasaka, will transition to chairperson, and current chairman, Yoshihari Ueki is set to retire in April. There we go. You give me the difficult names
Say
every
that
time,
after
don't you?
a trip to your bar, Andy.
I know. It's a good job I'm not in there. Yeah. What do you think?
It's good news.
Yeah, about time. About time we had some different people doing these senior jobs, and women especially. So that's great news, isn't it? No, very, very good to hear.
Do you know, it's one of those airlines, that it's I've never flown with Japan Airlines, and I'd love to see what they're like. I really would.
I think it's always good to have somebody who has actually got experience of working on the front line, because they know how an airline works. A lot of CEOs or presidents have no idea what goes on board an aircraft and how difficult it can be at times. So this is really good.
So, moving on to the next story. And Nick, you've got this next one, and I think most of us hate a delay when we're flying anywhere within Europe or the world, or any flight at all. You hate a delay, but this particular flight had a hefty delay, should we say?
Yeah, and then some. I actually thought when I first saw the headline it was a mistake. It really caught my eye. So it comes from simpleflying.com, and the headline is, after 60 hours and 3 diversions, TUI passengers finally make it to Madeira. So TUI passengers have finally arrived in Madeira around 60 hours after setting off from Manchester. Their unwanted odyssey became the most watched flight on tracking websites over the weekend. Flight BY2536 departed Manchester Airport at 08:48 on Friday morning, en route to Madeira. However, due to bad weather, the aircraft could not land that day, diverting to Porto Santo Airport, PXO, overnight. The next day, the aircraft took off from Madeira, but poor weather would again foil attempts to land, so the flight diverted to Tenerife South Airport. After sitting on the apron for around 4 hours, the flight again attempted to land at Madeira, but was unable to land. And on this occasion, the aircraft was in the air for over 3 hours, repeatedly circling Madeira before returning to Tenerife overnight. The flight eventually landed in Madeira the next day, Sunday, at 21:26. The flight was operated by a 10-year-old Boeing 737-800, seating 189 passengers. Passengers expecting to arrive in Madeira around lunchtime on Friday instead found themselves spending 2 nights in airport hotels, along with several hours a day sitting on an aircraft or in an airport, which some of us might enjoy, but yeah, I can see how that might be a bit annoying. According to ex-user Emily James, her parents who were on the flight eventually decided they didn't want to fly anymore, but the airline was insistent that they continue to Madeira. The Madeira Funchal Airport is one of the more difficult ones to land at globally, with flight crews needing additional training to land there. Weather conditions are highly unpredictable, particularly the variable wind conditions on approach. While other aircraft were seen to land at the airport as the TUI flight circled, the TUI's pilot decided it would not be safe to do so. So, Andy, I was just wondering if you've ever flown in there, and if you could tell us of any of your experiences about it. What makes it so dodgy?
Yes, well, I have flown in there. And it's true what they say. So this airport is stuck on a little bit of land jutting off the side of a rock, essentially.
So the runway's built on stilts, isn't it?
Yeah, the extension was. It's a very, very tricky place. So before you can go there, the captains have to be qualified in the simulator first. Then it's a check ride with a training captain. And there are many, many procedures here. Wind limits, there's actually quadrants around the airfield for wind. So a certain direction you can have, say, gusting up to 25 knots. Another area you can only have gusting up to 15 knots. And the wind changes direction so rapid on this island. There are wind socks dotted all around the approach that you can actually see. Well, there used to be. It's been a long while since I've been out there. And you can actually have, as you start the approach, the wind coming from 180 degrees to what it's actually doing on the runway end. And then as you turn, especially for runway 05, there's a valley in between the rock, and the wind quite often rolls through there, and you can get quite a lot of wind shear as well. So looking at this, my guess is the wind was probably out of the limits to commence the approach several times here, which is why they held so much. I can understand why they originally went to Porto Santo, which is a tiny island north of Madeira. It's got a runway decent enough to land most things on, but the apron's tiny. The facilities in the airport are just about non-existent. But it is a long flight from Manchester to there, so you can take as much fuel as you can to get in. But then the next day, they decide to divert to Tenerife, which is, again, a sensible option. I always take Tenerife fuel if I can, going down there. And again, they were just doing what you'd expect from any flight crew. If it's not safe, they're not going to try. They filled the tanks up here from Tenerife to go and have multiple hours of holding just to see if they could get in. But unfortunately, they ended up back in Tenerife and then got in again the next day. I mean, that's quite an adventure for everybody involved. And it can get quite hairy on that approach. I've had it where I've been hitting the stops in all directions on the side stick just to try and keep the thing going in the right direction. It's just all about deciding when to give up and go around and try again later.
Wow. So I guess because you've got quite big terrain, haven't you, off to the side?
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting a downdraft off of that, and I guess where the runway itself is kind of on an elevated platform, that in itself probably generates kind of weird turbulence as well.
Yep, you get lift as you come over the threshold. There's quite a few videos out there of people. You can see they come over the threshold and soon there's a big lift, the nose goes down, and they're trying to pitch back up again, and they start porpoising and then just bin it, or in some cases, like Air Portugal, they just keep going and land and give it, just take it on the chin. But yeah, that airport will always, on the flight data monitoring, will always give red flags, and they have to manually, in most airlines, go in and bin the data because they know that is just how it is in Madeira. So it's not unusual for it to be very tricky.
Wow. Presumably, when you're landing on 05, that big right-hand arc, a lot of the key to it presumably is early configuration of the aircraft. Gear down.
You're configured as you come. There's the peninsula to the east of the airport. As you're coming across there, you gear down. You're in nearly land and flap. You've slowed it right down to give you the best opportunity to make that turn nice and tidy. I mean, you can spend a lot of time going around that turn just fighting with the aircraft.
So what's that checkout procedure then, Andy, in terms of sort of getting qualified, and how does that work from a kind of regulatory point of view? Because you sort of hear about these captains only landing airfields.
Yeah.
But
so I can't really remember what the procedure is for Madeira, but I think it's like Innsbruck, where every captain has to be given like an authorization number from. So in this case, it'd be the Portuguese Civil Aviation Authority. They'd have to have the training record signed. They've done it in the simulator, and the simulator is mainly for the visual picture and look out for this and what to look for. Like there's a banana factory on one corner. You can use that for the turn. Now that we've got an RNAV approach in there, you can mainly let the machine do it. In the past, it used to have to be all visually flown. But now you've got an RNAV that basically takes you all the way around to the runway, so you can just let it get on with it. But then the check ride with an experienced training captain who knows the place as well. Again, it's more holding your hand just to go, right, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is what to look out for. Now you're on your own, crack on. But you can't go there with no training. You wouldn't consider, say you were coming back from Tenerife up to Gatwick or something, and you had a medical issue or something like that, you wouldn't consider going into Madeira. You'd go somewhere else. You've got to be qualified to go and give that place a go.
Wow. Pip in the chat room says he's done the exact same thing a few years ago. He said couldn't get into Madeira, held for 90 minutes and eventually diverted to Port Santos. Spent the night there and then got in the next day to Madeira.
Yeah, and like he says that in his case, the odd thing was it was getting worse in Port Santos, but there are no limits on the wind there as there are at Madeira. So it's normally the wind limits at Madeira that make it prohibitive to get in.
So how many times would you try and do that approach in the sim? Is it a case of you just kind of keep doing it until you get good at it, or?
Yeah. There's a whole sort of training package of doing it in different winds and turbulence intensities and stuff like that. Again, it's just to get you used to this is what it looks like, this is what it shouldn't look like, etc.
I suppose when the visibility and the weather is bad, although not bad that you can't land, but I suppose when the visibility and the weather is bad, that makes it even more of a attractive approach, Andy.
Attractive?
Well, a less attractive approach.
Less attractive. Don't give it a go. Yeah, just give up. Just go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else, yeah. So,
and if passengers do want to get off, they can.
There's a plug door. Just they can
say they didn't want to leave Tenerife. That's fine. They can stay there, but then they're on their own then. Just it means there's security procedures involved, etc., that have got to be done. But yeah, it's fine. If you really don't want to fly, then okay, I'll let you get off.
I always want to fly.
I know what you do.
Just rather in the flight deck, not sitting at the back.
Anyway. Is that one for your home sim then, Carlos?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that, Nick, because I'm going to be digging it all out this weekend and having a little day in the sim. I'm going to plumb that in. Now I've moved on to Microsoft Flight Sim. I'm going to plumb that in this weekend and give it a go. I'll put real weather on as well. I'll use the real weather setting on the sim and see how I get on. We'll see. I won't let you know. Anyway, moving on. Next story. Airline Live, or airlive.net, I should say. This made the social medias as well this week in quite a heavy dose. This is flames seen shooting out of an Atlas Air Boeing 747, I should say, -8, flying over Miami. This was Atlas Air Flight 5 Yankee 95 from Miami to San Juan. Suffered engine issues and visible flames after taking off from Miami International Airport. The 747-8, November 859 Golf Tango, returned for a safe landing on runway 9 of Miami, and a Miami airport spokesperson confirmed to Newsweek that the Atlas Air flight landed safely at Miami Airport just after 11 p.m. local time. The aircraft, the Dash 8, according to FlightAware, the crew followed all standard procedures and returned safely to MIA, the company said in a statement. The flight took off from Miami Airport at 10:30 in the evening Eastern Time and had been heading to Luis Munoz Marin International Airport in Puerto Rico. Armando would say that's so much more better. When it was diverted, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue responded. No injuries, as you said, were reported. Miami International Airport said in a separate statement to Reuters that the FAA reported the aircraft, they said, departed, experienced a number 2 engine failure, returned to land. Post-flight inspection revealed a softball-sized hole above engine number 2. And there is a picture of this online, actually. I don't know whether we can get it on here or not, but and video as well. But we'll run the video on this one. I don't know whether you may have seen this one. This done the rounds, as I said, on social media. Here we go. For those of you watching in the world of YouTube.
Oh my God, it's on fire! Oh my God! Sorry. It's on fire! Mom!
And we can see, well, flames emitting from that engine. In quite big puffs, actually, flames. Quite a big lot of flames.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it's ejecting a fair quantity of its insides.
Of its insides. Actually got a few people on social media commenting on that about what could have gone wrong and stuff. But yeah, I think I spoke to John Jester, one of our good friends of the show, on WhatsApp over the weekend, and he did say that it was a case of the engine just had enough. It decided to eject its internal parts, and that was it. I think the case here, Andy, is that they'd got another 3 engines to utilise after that one went, whereas obviously things would be slightly different for you in a twin engine.
Yeah, it's a little less pressing when you've got 3 remaining. You've only lost 25% of your power. I mean, still, if you lose 1 engine on a twin engine aircraft, you've still got plenty of available thrust in the remaining engine. But these guys did a great job. Nice little circuit out back to land. Great work.
If that had been BA, they'd have been straight across the North Atlantic from Los Angeles, wouldn't they? But then we know what happened there.
Shut it down, crack on.
Yes. Although, presumably, there's a lot of stuff coming out the back of the engine there, so that might have affected some of the flight surfaces that you don't really know, do you? So,
no, exactly. You don't want to take chances or risks with something like that. It's best get it on the ground and let the experts have a look at it.
Yeah.
Now, Nev, you got the next story. and it's a situation I think that you would not be too impressed by.
No, it's, well, let's read it out. It's on the IndianExpress.com. It says SpiceJet passenger locked inside toilet for entire flight. On Tuesday, SpiceJet's flight SG268 from Mumbai to Bengaluru, a male passenger was trapped in the toilet due to a malfunctioning door lock for over an hour. Despite attempts by the crew and fellow passengers, the door could not be opened. With the passenger panicking, the crew slid a note under the door. Sir, we tried our best to open the door. However, we could not. Do not panic. We are landing in a few minutes, so please close the commode lid and sit on it and secure yourself. Could I just point out there is no seatbelt in the toilet, so I don't know how they could do that. As soon as the main door is open, an engineer will come, a note penned by one of the air hostesses said. Well, the door remains shut until engineers at Kempegowda International Airport forced it open after landing. SpiceJet had confirmed the incident, extending an apology and offered the affected passenger a full refund. The airline's crew provided reassurance and instructions to the passenger during the ordeal, and immediate medical support was given after the rescue. SpiceJet has expressed regret for the distress caused. I must say, I was close to this on an Air New Zealand 747-400 going from Heathrow to Los Angeles many years ago, and I could not open the door to get out, and I thought, clearly I'm doing it wrongly. I'm not going to panic. It took me 6 or 7 minutes to get out, and because I was upstairs on this jumbo, there was not a lot of people around, so I think the crew were down the other end of the aircraft looking after passengers there. But I was concerned at one point. Of course, that would have been a 10-hour problem, not a 1-hour problem. No, I managed to open it in the end. But
I'm just going to pop that picture up on the screen again.
This happened to me as well.
Did it?
Very recently, yeah. Fortunately, I was operating crew as well, but it happened on the ground.
Okay.
In our rear toilets, the middle one, it's very, very small, very narrow.
Well, like that one.
And I've never felt it looked quite like that, and I've never felt claustrophobic in my life until this point. And you can see on the our toilets, it has a deadbolt that goes up, and I unlocked it, and the bolt didn't move.
Oh.
And I tried everything, and it got to the point where I had to actually kick the door down to get out. And then. And then I don't think there is a secondary way to remove this particular door. Well, yeah, I used the secondary way. I removed it with my feet, and it was awful. But I did then in-op it and put it in the tech log as out of service.
Ian makes a good point in the chat room. Actually, it's better to be locked in than locked out from using the toilet, because that would cause.
Yes.
You know,
depends what you were planning to do in the toilet, I suppose.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? I mean, some of these toilets, as you point out, Andy, are a bit on the small side. So you've really got to decide what you're going to be doing before you go in, because the option to change your mind, wouldn't really exist because of the limitations of the size of the lab.
It can be difficult to change direction in there, yes.
I bet he wish you'd have took some snacks with him before he went in. You know.
Oh dear.
Anyway, Andy, you can take the next story.
Yes, this one's from the BBC. This is airport scanner delay will prolong at 100 millilitre liquid ban. Several of the UK's largest airports, including Heathrow, Gatwick and Manchester, are unlikely, shock, to meet the government's June 24 deadline to install new CT X-ray security scanners that would eliminate the current 100 millilitre liquid limit in hand luggage. The rules requiring liquid items to be taken through security in containers of 100 millilitres or less and put in a clear plastic bag were introduced all the way back in 2006 after a bomb plot on a transatlantic flight was foiled. Airports were originally told to bring in new scanners by 2022 before the deadline was moved to June this year. The anticipated delay may cause confusion and security delays during the busy summer holiday season, as travellers may find inconsistent liquid rules across different airports. Well, it's like that now. Trials for the new scanners began in 2018, and while some airports like Teesside and London City Airport have completed their installations, others face challenges such as the need for structural reinforcement and training requirements. The Department for Transport has suggested it might allow extensions for installations and has not ruled out penalties for missed deadlines. Travel experts and associations are advising passengers to check the liquid rules at both their departure and arrival airports due to the potential discrepancies that might arise from this transition period. The DFT maintains that the new scanners will enhance the UK's already robust aviation security and improve the passenger experience. Now, I've experienced this where you don't have to take stuff out of your bag. It's in Milan. It's brilliant. You just put it on. It feels a little bit weird as well because you're so used to having to strip everything down, but it is quite nice just to lob everything on the scanner and go through like the old days.
Yes, I must say that the boys and girls at London City Airport, it doesn't really work properly, I don't think. Well, maybe it is working, but you get shouted at by the folks there to leave all your stuff in your bag, which you then do, and then it goes through, and then nearly all of them go to the extra inspection lane, which results in a queue and tutting, obviously not from me, because it's now all backed up into the scanner and they're hand searching the stuff. That was hard going. I must say, Portland International Airport was extremely good. We left everything in last week, went straight through, no problem at all. That was great. But the one at City Airport, I don't know whether it's oversensitive or whether they're just checking everything to be sure, but yeah, it seemed hard work, I must say.
Wonder whether we'll get to the stage where we won't have to do it at all in all the airports around the UK.
One day.
One day. That'd be nice. Next story from Flight Global, this one. And I had to look this airline up because I'd never heard of it. But anyway, this is Akasa Air ordering. This is good news for Boeing, by the way, because obviously things aren't too great for them at the minute. Akasa Air orders 150 737 MAX jets. Indian carrier Akasa Air has ordered 150 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft, landing Boeing its first major commitment for the type weeks after the door plug incident. The order, announced on the 18th of January at the Wings India Air Show in Hyderabad, comprises of MAX 10s, MAX 8-200 deliveries that will run until 2032, says the low-cost operator. Airline chief Vinay Dubes says the large order, an historic large order, puts Akasa on the path to becoming one of the top 30 leading airlines in the world by the turn of this decade. With the new commitments, Akasa order book now stands at 226 737 MAX aircraft, with 22 examples in its fleet. Akasa's order follows a series of deals from other Indian operators in the last 12 months. Air India signed for over 400 aircraft early in 2023, while fellow low-cost operator Indigo splashed out on more than 500 aircraft at the Paris Air Show back in June. Akasa's order does not include the MAX 9, but the airline has completed a series of inspections on their fleet of MAX 8s and noted no adverse findings. Now, I had a little look. Who the heck are Akasa? So Akasa Air is a brand of SNV Aviation Private Limited. It's an Indian low-cost airline headquartered in Mumbai, Maharashtra, in India. Founded back in December 2021, and their fleet is comprised of all Boeing aircraft, the 737 MAX 8, the MAX 200, and obviously the MAX 10s on order. So, have you heard of Mandy? Airline that you've heard of at all?
No. There's lots of carriers out in that direction I've never really heard of, and these guys are really new, aren't they? Only been around a couple of years. Interesting. Not to get into the 737 MAX debacle, but an interesting order choice. Maybe they had slots on the production line they could get in. But yeah, well, best of luck to them.
Nev, heard of these guys?
No, likewise. Perhaps there's a job lot of additional bolts that they need to use up.
But what about you, Nick? I'm guessing you've not travelled with a Casa.
No, I actually, when I first saw the headline, I actually, my brain sort of misread it as Alaska Air.
Exactly the same.
And I was thinking, oh, well, that they must have got a really good deal. Because that was quite a big number of aircraft to order. And I was thinking, they must have been doing a bit of bargaining there. But yeah, and I actually sort of went back to try and find a story to put it in the notes. And yeah, and they realised it wasn't them at all. So yeah, it's just another one of these airlines that none of us have heard of, but are clearly very well funded because they're buying an awful lot of airplanes.
So we've got one more story to play this week. This is coming from Armando this week, and he has got the story at number 9 on our list. It's all about Part 135 EASA and the this was the 208. That's it, the Cessna 208B Caravan that had a slight issue this week. So we're going to hand things over to Armando.
Hey guys, actually only have one commercial story to bring you this week. I'm sure the guys are doing a great job with the rest of the show, and they're going to do a great job with the military. There was a really unique incident that happened this week with a Southern Airways Express Cessna Caravan at Washington Dulles. Now, Matt is probably going to put up some pictures, maybe some video. There's some ATC audio of this, which is really impressive. But I want to tell you a little bit about this because it's a type of operation that I was involved in, even while I was on the show just a couple of years ago. Southern Airways Express is a Part 135 carrier. That means they're not at the level of your Part 121 airlines like Delta, American, Southwest, things like that, and they're not Part 91, which is just private owners. So they are a charter operator. They have a Part 135 certificate, which is scheduled air service. They're the highest level of Part 135. But their business model is really mostly about essential air service. That is, we've talked about it on the show, but essential air service is a airline that provides a service between a major city and a smaller town. These routes are largely subsidized by either the town, the state Department of Transportation, maybe a tourism board, or the federal government, the Department of Transportation. So it is a way of connecting smaller communities to larger communities through both business and passenger and tourism, where now those people in those smaller communities can get to a larger hub airport where they can catch flights out of there to the rest of the world. Now the pilots on board, it's usually a two-pilot operation. They are authorized. Southern Airways, which actually took over Mokulele, took over Air Choice One just over the last couple of years. But other operators like Delta Air Connect, Boutique Air, it's a single-engine turboprop, and the aircraft doesn't require a type rating here in the U.S. like a Caravan or a Pilatus. A lot of those Part 135 operators are actually authorized to operate with a single pilot. Now, Southern Airways and some of its competitors choose to use a two-pilot operation out of an overabundance of safety. Plus, it creates a great grooming ground, breeding ground for people to move from the right seat to the left seat, and then upwards up into the regional airlines. In this particular aircraft, there was a crew of two. And then a little bit about the airplane. The Cessna Caravan, one of the most proven, capable aircraft of all time, with a Pratt & Whitney PT6 engine, which is probably the most reliable engine out there. So it'll be interesting to hear from the investigation what exactly happened here. But the Cessna 208 Caravan, because we're particularly talking about a wintry day there at Washington Dulles, it is equipped, this particular model and this particular aircraft was equipped with de-icing boots. So those are pneumatic boots that operate off of bleed air, and they de-ice, they are capable of de-icing the leading edges of all the surfaces. The aircraft will have propeller heat. It'll probably have some sort of windshield heat, but most importantly, it also has an inertial separator on this model of PT6. It's manually operated from the cockpit of the Caravan. An inertial separator, what it is, it's called that because the PT6 engine is actually flipped backwards. So the airflow goes from the back to the front, which means for air to get in there to be combined with fuel to get burned to create the power, the air actually comes in the front, makes a 180-degree turn, and goes from the back to the front of the engine. Well, an inertial separator, what it does is and that 180-degree turn, there's basically a big scoop at the bottom where if you're in icing conditions or unimproved airstrips, dirt, whatever, it would cause anything that wouldn't burn, like water or dirt, to fall out the bottom of the airplane before the air makes that 180-degree turn to go into the rest of the operation of the engine. So in these kinds of conditions, they would have had the propeller heat on, maybe the de-icing boots on, the inertial separator would have been open for FOD and ice to go through the vents as opposed to going into the engine. Now, like I said, this was a wintry day in Washington, D.C. You can hear from the ATC audio that it was a Washington Dulles Airport, IAD, runway 30, which is not the main runway. It's kind of an offset runway that points off to the west. And they took off from that runway. Is hard IFR conditions, so it was overcast skies with icing, below freezing temperatures. There was snow. Actually, Washington Reagan Airport, which is just about 20 miles or so to the east of Dulles, had a ground stop because of snow earlier in the day. And these aircraft are de-iced if needed. Even a Cessna Caravan can go to the de-icing pad, get shut down, and gets sprayed off with de-icing fluid. And I guarantee you these pilots are experienced in these conditions. This is the operation. This is the same route they do. So they were going from Washington Dulles to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I flew a very similar route day in and day out, 5 times a day, from Baltimore, Washington to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And so I'm sure they're used to the conditions. 2 pilots, one may be less experienced than the other one, but even young pilots who do this day in, day out are well versed in these kinds of conditions. So they would have been de-iced if the pilot deemed it necessary for the aircraft to be de-iced. Now, the event itself, we don't know what happened yet, but somehow they took off from runway 30 very quickly. Something happened. It sounded like a loss of power from the urgency in the co-pilot's voice. And they made this 90-degree turn. I believe they only made it to about 1,000 feet AGL, maybe 800. I've seen some reports. The pilot not flying or the pilot monitoring made the Mayday call. This really, really annoyed me that she was getting stepped on by other traffic. Now, I understand that a Mayday call is not a common thing, but it really made it difficult for the tower. They were still on the tower frequency to understand what was going on, because every time that the co-pilot was transmitting, she was getting stepped on by somebody else. And she was doing all of the correct actions, making the correct calls, letting them know exactly where they were going. All of this transpired in the course of about 30, 45 seconds. Somehow the pilots were both working as a crew, able to put it down on a fairly busy highway west of the airport. If you look at the pictures on Twitter and social media, they missed all kinds of stuff. There are some of those giant over the highway road signs. Somehow they missed those. And they put it down on a 4-lane highway going southbound, so missed all the traffic. Nobody was hurt. In fact, only the airplane was hurt. And from what it looks like from some of the pictures, the blades are bent, so we know that the engine was that the propeller was turning, maybe not the engine, but that the propeller was turning because those blades are bent. But it was also feathered. I noticed right away from the pictures in the Cessna Caravan with this model of PT6, that is a manual function. So that means that the pilots either feathered it in the air if they had a loss of power, or as they were shutting down the engine, they feathered it. But either way, the propeller was feathered, which means that the blades were in line with the wind to reduce the amount of drag and extend the glide distance, is usually how that ends up there. Everyone was evacuated from the aircraft. There's no flight attendant or cabin crew on these types of aircrafts. Usually the pilots work together to secure the passengers. And another part that was really kind of unique was that the comms, the radio were still on and receivable even through live ATC from the ground. They were on the ground, they were shutting down, they were evacuating passengers, and the co-pilot was still communicating with the control tower, and hopefully we're able to play that out. Really unique because she was able to say, hey, we're down, we're safe. There's 5 individuals on board, 2 pilots, everybody's getting out. Oh, by the way, we are stopped by the Wendy's and the Aldi's, which is kind of a unique descriptor that you don't usually hear on aviation communications. But either way, really outstanding airmanship here. A lot of people on social media are bashing this airline, but listen, this is the place where people go to. It's a rite of passage where you have to sort of cut your teeth in these kinds of operations in order to gain the experience to be able to go on to the regionals and the majors and big airplanes. Most of us have been there. We've worked in Part 135s, we've flown small airplanes, and these 2 pilots appear to be the masters of that aircraft, just as we talk about, masters of larger aircraft from when we talk about successful outcomes from other mishaps. So again, from my personal point of view, I think they did a great job of putting the airplane on the ground, getting it secured, getting the passengers. They aviated, navigated, communicated, as we all should be doing when something weird happens. Really great outcome to this, and I can't wait to see what exactly happened from this mishap in this situation.
Thanks, Armando. Yeah, I saw that on the old social medias this week.
Yeah,
she's done a really good job of getting that in and landing where she did. Did you see
Is there a cat in your studio, Carl?
Yes, I know. I have Mima next to me in the studio. Normally, when Matt is doing this, he's got Alfie barking in there, but yes, I've got the lovely Mima here next to me.
Oh.
I think I'm a cat lover. You know me, cat lover.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Keeping things aviation. Now, this week, well, actually yesterday, I think. It's this morning when we got the message in our group chat about a new safety video that was released. Now, I had my thoughts on this video, and I know us as a team have our thoughts on this safety video, but I'm going to play that video for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. Now I'm going to play that video, and I want to see what your thoughts are on this. Bear in mind, this is a safety video, okay, a safety video, and this is from Qantas. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Louise from Qantas in Darwin, and I'm a proud Wagadagam and Mudbara woman. Welcome to my magic place, Litchfield National Park. We all have a place that fills our heart and makes us feel safe. Give us your attention for the next few minutes and we'll keep you safe on this flight as we journey to the magic places of regular Aussies all around Australia and the world. Welcome to Qantas.
G'day, I'm Lord. My magic place is near Queenstown, on New Zealand's South Island. I've been coming here since I was a boy, and now I'm rated to fly here as a Qantas 737 pilot. Hey guys, let's check it out. How good is that? Today, I'm flying on an Airbus H125 helicopter, and you're on a Qantas Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
Hi, my name is Nestor from the Qantas First Class Lounge in Sydney. Welcome to Hollywood. Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the clasp into the buckle and tighten by pulling the strap. You can undo your seatbelt by pressing the button. Keep it done up low and tight during takeoff, landing, and whenever the seatbelt sign is on. This includes infants and children. While seated at other times, we recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened.
The locals call this Mexico Mágico.
Anyway, rather than us sit here for the next 5 hours playing this safety video,
in inverted commas,
I'm going to go to our resident airline captain for your thoughts on this safety video, Andy.
Now, I'm sure. How long is the actual video?
Oh, the actual video is 9 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay, the whole point of this video is, or it doesn't even have to be a video, it can just be a demonstration, as we see on most airlines. It's a regulatory requirement that the captain has to ensure that everybody is briefed on the safety procedures on every single flight. How long did it take till they got to the actual seatbelt? It's too long. It needs to be short, sharp, get it done, get going. As Mizzou said, it has been confused as it looks like a tourist video, to be honest. It might tick boxes to keep management happy, but I don't like it. It's too long.
Also, imagine if you've got a short taxi out off of the stand. The thing will still be playing when you rotate the aircraft, probably. It's rubbish. I cannot understand even the point of it. In fact, actually, I've noticed a little bit more aggression from the BA cabin crews recently. The in-flight lead the other day, not on my Portland flight, but on the Edinburgh flight, somebody was just reading their newspaper, and she did say, would you mind putting the newspaper down during the safety briefing? And he did. And that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, Andy, presumably, I mean, the captain is responsible for the safety of the aircraft. That's the beginning and end of it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it's a delegation of a duty to the cabin crew, because you have to. You can't do it yourself. But yeah, like Richard M says, just a traditional, here's the actual bits and pieces, do it, done. And also that way they can check that everybody's actually watching them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, our US listeners or European listeners might not get this one. But Nev, I was half expecting Judith Chalmers to come out and start presenting the holiday programme.
Yes, and I think that this is the problem with the current BA one as well, which is shorter. But I did actually see this because they are running them on the transatlantic and other long-haul sectors, I think, as well, because they're not running it on the domestic and European sectors. But as Andy says, it's the safety briefing. How difficult can it be? And I think trying to make it all flowery and sexy and make everybody relaxed, I'm not sure that's what you want. I think you want people to be very alert, because if it all goes wrong on the runway just before V1 and people have got to get out quickly, a bit like the 777 at Las Vegas, the BA, then you want everybody to be fully alert and not relaxed and it's all nice and let's just have a gin and tonic kind of thing. It's my opinion anyway. But they have just got completely the wrong end of the stick with this, I'm afraid. But there are other safety videos which are better, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick look at this one. This is the JAL, or Japan Airlines one. Here we go.
Welcome on board. 安全について説明しますので Please watch this safety video and familiarize yourself with the safety instructions. 荷物は近くの収納場所に入れます。All baggage must be stowed in the nearest storage. 非常口や通路に置くことはできません。Do not place baggage in the aisle or around the exits. シートベルトはしっかりと締めます。Fasten your seatbelt securely. レバーを上げると外れます。Lift the buckle to unfasten the seatbelt. 揺れに備え、常に着用します。Keep your seatbelt fastened whenever seated in case of sudden turbulence. 機内は通路、化粧室を含め禁煙です。Smoking is strictly prohibited on this flight. 電波を発する状態の電子機器は使用できません。Use of any electronic devices that emit radio waves is prohibited. 電源を切るか、機内モードなどに設定します。Please turn them off or set them to airplane mode. 緊急時は乗務員の指示に従ってください。
In case of emergency, please follow our instructions.
酸素マスクが出てきたら強く引いて鼻と口に当てます。
If oxygen masks appear, pull the mask toward you and place it firmly around your nose and mouth.
ゴムバンドを頭にかけ長さを調節します。
Place the band over your head and adjust.
衝撃に備える姿勢をとります。
In the unlikely event of impact, take a...
Well, there we go. That was a look at the JAL safety video. For those of you listening in the audio world, get yourselves over to YouTube. You'll see the video there if you've missed it. A slight contrast there, guys.
It's much better. It shows what to do, what the consequences of not doing it. To the point. Done.
Even the cat is complaining about that.
Yes, even Ima is complaining about the state of that video. But no, that's... You can see, like producer John was saying during that video, that it sort of shows the consequences on that video of if you don't do those particular safety items. So, yeah, it's definitely better, I think, that one. Perhaps Qantas need to take a look at that. Be interesting to hear what Grant McCarran says, because obviously no doubt one of us will get a message from Grant McCarran this week about his national airline. We'll find out. Yes, Mima. Okay. Nev, moving on to the next part of the show. It's the giveaway, giving away a book. Nev, what are we giving away?
It's one of your books, isn't it? We're giving away, and it's Private Airplane Passenger Safety by John O'Grable. And the question from the other week was, well, we all know that the Cessna 150 is one of the world's most popular training aircraft, but what year did the Cessna 150 first fly? And that's a good question, actually. I didn't know the answer to this, but let's have a look at the answer. And the answer is September the 12th, 1957. Gosh.
I honestly thought it was earlier than that. I don't know about you, Nev.
Well, I didn't actually know the answer. So, but we have a number of correct answers, of course. And we have the London Biggin Hill cap, which we're using this week. And I shall select at random the 5 correct answers that we have in there. So let's
drum roll,
dish one out, and let's see who the lucky winner is. This is David that sent his answer in via WhatsApp to you, Carlos. So
well done, David.
Details somewhere, and we shall send him a copy of that book in the post. So if you can find out his details, Carlos.
I will. I shall contact David.
I'll go down the post office whilst we've still got one. But moving on to this week's question. Now, I was lucky enough to fly with the BA boys and girls this week on their 787-8 from Heathrow to Portland to our company HQ, which was great. And they give you amenity kits, don't they, on these flights?
Only business class, Nev.
Well, indeed. Well, no, some in the premium economy as well, I think, actually. But I have here one of the amenity kits, don't give the game away, Andy, because the question may relate it to what you've just shown.
It's all right. It wasn't on camera.
So, well, it was. That's the only thing. So we did actually see it just now.
You did.
But for those who... that's true. It wasn't on the output, was it? So that was fortunate.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Carry on there.
So we've got away with it. So the question is, which firm supplies exclusively British Airways with their amenity kits in Club World? Which firm supplies exclusively British Airways with their amenity kits in Club World? And here is one. And it contains quite a lot of stuff. A nice pair of socks, a pair of goggles, eye patches and what have you, toothbrushes, all sorts of things, toothpaste in there, quite a lot of stuff actually. So I shall be, they're not used, by the way, before anyone asks, so I shall zip it up and then post it off to whoever wins this competition for next week. And so the question once again is, which firm exclusively provides these amenity kits to British Airways? There you go.
There we go. Well done. And obviously, I shall be in touch with David about his book. Get that off to you as soon as possible. But nice little prize there, Nev. That is.
Yes, I'll need a bigger jiffy bag to put them in. But
yeah,
we can manage that.
I must admit, Nev, I'm a fiend for this because Gemma's always having a go at me. I have a drawer at home that's full of these amenity kits because I've been lucky, obviously, like you've been lucky to travel in premium and business class as well on various airlines. I've got a few of those hanging around in the drawers at home, but perhaps I need to give some away. Anyway, moving on to the next part of the show, which is the military segment. And this week, we've got a good splattering of military stories this week on the show. So I know Nev's ready for me to hit that button. So, Nev, are you ready?
Oh, barely, yes.
Here we go.
Blast up bogies 135, 50, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 bogies.
You're on, Nick.
Oh, okay. Well, as you know, I like to go trawling the internet for interesting stories for the show, and there was one that really stood out for me this week because it involved aeroplanes and cakes, which are two of my favourite things. So so this one is from atlasobscura.com, and the headline is "Exploding Chocolate Tea Cakes." So when Tony Canane joined the Royal Air Force in 1953, chocolate tea cakes were all the rage. Employees aboard strategic nuclear strike aircraft requested the snack to be added to their in-flight ration boxes. But this wasn't just a sugary jolt to fuel their Cold War training. The chocolate-coated marshmallow tea cakes had become, as Cullen described it, the subject of some rather unscientific in-flight experiments. Shortly after the foil-wrapped treats appeared in RAF ration packs, pilots began to notice that as altitude increased, the tea cakes expanded. At 15,000 feet, the marshmallow interior cracked the chocolate shell. Air crews removed the tea cakes from their silver foil packaging and perched them around the cabin for observation. The aerated marshmallow continued to swell as pressure changed, and the sweets became too big to eat in one bite. And many noted that despite the extreme physical effects, the expansion didn't compromise the taste, which is very important. But the expanding tea cake's fame was short-lived after a period of marshmallow fever aboard the V-bombers departing from Gaydon Air Base. An explosion put a stop to the fun. During the summer of 1965, a captain and student pilot forgot they had placed the unwrapped tea cakes above their instrument panels. And when the captain pulled an emergency depressurizing switch during a training mission, the treats erupted. Shards of chocolate and marshmallow hit the windshield, flight controls, and men's uniforms. Shortly thereafter, the RAF put marshmallows on their no-fly list. And decades later, the Telegraph recounted the incident with an article entitled "Deadly Tea Cakes." Thankfully, no lives were lost in the explosion. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Before. I mean, peanuts, yeah, as in packets of peanuts expanding in flight, but tea cakes.
Kind of want to try it now.
I'm going to have to take a packet of tea cakes with me when I go on holiday next now.
You can imagine the mess, though, can't you? I mean, those tea cakes are quite sticky, at the best of times. So, I can imagine that was a bit of a laundry moment there for all involved.
You get tea cakes in business class, Nev?
Yes, I think you might do actually. On certain flights, yes.
Andy, a problem you have on the flight deck of the A320 you fly?
I've never tried it with a tea cake, to be honest. I mean, the cabin pressure only goes up to 8,000 feet. I might take one next time I go flying though and see what happens.
I'll put a few in the cargo hold, Andy.
Yeah.
Where it's not, just to upset the passengers when they get the other end and find their suitcases are slightly sticky.
Ugh.
Oh, I know. Be a waste of tea cakes.
It would.
Next story. And this one is from the forces.net. Nice story, this one. Active US Air Force pilot, Nev. What's she been up to?
Well, yes, it is a nice story, but I find it an awkward story to read for reasons which will become obvious very shortly. But we don't usually cover this kind of thing, but it's on the forces.net, and it says that active duty US Air Force F-16 pilot makes history after being crowned Miss America. A second lieutenant in the US Air Force has made history by becoming the first active duty US Air Force officer to be crowned Miss America. F-16 pilot Madison Marsh won the title of Miss America at a ceremony in Orlando, Florida. Second Lieutenant Marsh, who's a 2023 graduate of the US Air Force Academy with a degree in physics, represented the state of Colorado. Congratulations to our very own airman, Odd, the US Air Force tweeted after she clinched the crown. During her time at the Academy, Marsh passed out as an officer and was selected to be a pilot. The pageant queen learnt to become a pilot when she was just 16 years old, and she used this experience in the talent round of the pageant as she presented a spoken word piece on receiving her licence at such a young age. She is currently pursuing her master's in public policy at the Harvard Kennedy School. Following her mother's death in 2018 from pancreatic cancer, Marsh turned her efforts to cancer research, founding the Whitney Marsh Foundation and raising more than $250,000 for cancer research. As a graduate intern at the Harvard Medical School, she used artificial intelligence to detect pancreatic cancer. Marsh told the Harvard Crimson that pageantry really relates to the military a lot because you're serving, but in a different way. When I put on my uniform, I serve and I represent our country, she explained. When I put on the crown and sash, I am serving, representing my community. The US Air Force pilot credits her achievements to her time in the US Air Force. I don't think I would have ever have become Miss Colorado without the Air Force Academy because they have trained me and honed in on my leadership, she told the Harvard Crimson. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but there's a lot of stuff which I find odd, I have to say as well. And so it's better for me not to comment on it.
That's what you went. That's how you got to where you are, Andy. You went from Mr. Universe, didn't you, Andy, to pilot?
Oh, look at me. Like I've ever spent a day in the gym. Don't be so daft.
How did the medical go, Andy, recently?
Yeah, let's not talk about that, eh?
But I will say one thing, Andy, for the benefit of those who might be listening to the audio podcast, the beard is going well, Andy.
Yeah, it's gone very grey as well. I need to start getting some of that just 2000, just for me.
If you go
2000,
if you go back sort of about 30 or so episodes of PTUK and look at the first time Andy came on the podcast, you'll see what we mean.
30 episodes. Oh, it's probably 2017 was the first time.
Yeah,
I was on.
Well, it's a few episodes ago.
A very long time ago.
Anyway, Andy, you've got the next story.
Yeah. So this one is a flashlight, or a torch to those of us in this country, damages $14 million F-35 fighter engine beyond repair. A flashlight is responsible for causing this damage. I've just read that bit at Luke Air Force Base in Glendale. A report by the Air Force Aircraft Accident Investigation Board showed the incident happened on March the 15th, 2023, when the jet was undergoing some maintenance work. The report states a 3-member maintenance team removed a panel and inserted a metering plug into an engine fuel line. They prepared the aircraft for an engine run to test the installed metering plug for fuel leaks. The engine run was complete with no visual indications that would indicate an abnormal engine run. The damage was found after the engine was shut down following the test. The Air Force says that each member of the maintenance team was current and qualified to accomplish all the tasks. The board president found by a preponderance of the evidence that a handheld flashlight caused damage to the aircraft. An incomplete tool inventory kit and failure to complete the Joint Service Technical Data Guidance prior to engine start resulted in damage. And there's a couple of excerpts from the incident here. the incident report. The mishap aircraft ingested a flashlight or foreign object during a maintenance ground run. No individuals were injured during the mishap, and the engine estimated damage is $3,933,106. Wow. That the mishap was caused by MM1 not executing a complete inlet inspection and failing to conduct a toolkit inventory prior to engine run operations. They also failed to clear the inlet of foreign objects after completing the required inspections for an engine run after they exited the aircraft inlet, and they failed to complete other checklists that resulted in the flashlight being left inside the inlet, and it was ingested into the engine during the run, causing damage. Wow, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, do you have any trouble ever, Andy, with passengers throwing coins in the engines of your aircraft before they...
No, because that's more of a Chinese tradition, a sort of a lucky Chinese tradition, throwing money into aircraft engines. I have no idea why, but fortunately not. No, we don't have those issues, thankfully.
And also, if you imagine if this was a mag light or other flashlights are available, these are very substantial things, aren't they? The damage that you can do, well, we've just seen how much it's cost, but phenomenal amount of damage there. Very nasty indeed.
Yeah, I actually read the report, and I think it passed through something like 4 of the compressor stages.
Ow!
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. So yeah, I think that basically the engine was completely trashed by.
I mean, how the hell do you pass that through the insurance company, Nev? Why do you need a new engine? Well, we trashed it. Oh, how'd that happen? Blah blah blah. Oh, what's your insurance premium going to pay out?
Yes. Well, there's there's lessons to be learned from every aviation incident, no matter what it is.
Well, I'd imagine someone got told off.
Yeah, at minimum. Yeah.
Next story comes from stripes.com. Interesting website. Serious story, this one, though. This is all about a story we covered a few weeks ago, actually, on the show. Fallen Osprey pilot's family raising scholarship funds, or fund by Jonathan Schneider, Stars and Stripes. Jeffrey Horniman, 32 of Andover, was a CV-22 instructor pilot and officer in charge of training in the US Air Force. The parents of Major Jeff Horniman and a US Air Force pilot who tragically died in a CV-22 Osprey crash off Japan have initiated a GoFundMe campaign to establish a scholarship in his memory. Major Horniman, remembered for his positive impact on others, served as an instructor pilot and weapons tactics chief at Yokota Air Force Base. The campaign aims to honour his legacy by supporting future aviators and educators, reflecting on the profound effect he had on his peers and loved ones. A respected serviceman, Horniman's commendations include the Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Medal with C device, among others. His family, echoing his nurturing spirit, aims to continue his contributions to the Air Force community and beyond. In addition to his parents, he leaves behind his wife, Jess Boza, brother Jared Horniman, and grandparents Ray and Ardell Horniman, according to his obituary. During his career, he was recognised with Meteorous Service Medal and Air Medal, Aerial Achievement Medal, Air and Space Commendation Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Air and Space Achievement Medal, Meritorious Unit Award, Combat Readiness Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, National Defence Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal with Bronze Star, and Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, according to his obituary. Wow, this guy certainly definitely had a few medals, bless him. But what a great idea, setting up a scholarship in his name, though, to help sort of young and upcoming aviators. What a great idea, I think that is. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good.
So, military segment, bringing that to a close now. Thanks for putting those stories in this week. And So we've got no Nev's terminal tantrum, have we? Because everything was all hunky-dory on your flights this week, which is a shame. But what have you got planned for future flights coming up soon, Nev? Anything exciting?
Well, what have we got? So next week on Sunday, I'm flying to Barcelona for 6 days. In fact, no, 5 days, isn't it? Coming back on Friday. So I shan't be on the show next week because it's our annual large exhibition that we do, and they moved it from Amsterdam to Barcelona, which means it's warmer, and we like that because it's previously was like +2 degrees with some horrible wind chill. But I've just checked the forecast for Barcelona next week, and it is 16 degrees and sunny the whole time, which we're pleased about, I have to say. Now, these events are very hard work, as you can imagine. A bit of socialising, but it's all, work. We're on the exhibition booth from Tuesday through to Friday. A bit of networking, a bit more to drink possibly as well. So it's hard work, as you can imagine. But I'm up for the challenge. But unfortunately, because I put on £4 from my Portland trip last week.
Free, Nev?
Well, no, just the general food, really. So I've had to be very cautious with my eating this week, and no drinking either, before we're back on it again on Sunday evening. Now, we've got a couple of other things to talk about as well. We will have a 500th show announcement quite soon. We haven't quite put all the logistics together for that yet, but we will do very shortly, and we'll let you know. But of course, we have the drone conference and the air mobility conference coming up at the RDS in Dublin on the 1st and 2nd of March. So the whole team are going out there. Myself, Carlos, Matt, and Mr. Matt of the A320 variety is going to make an appearance as well, which is very nice. Yeah. So what we're going to be doing is doing our usual sort of interviews and all the rest of it there. But on the Saturday, which is March the 2nd, we're going to see if we can have a bit of a listener meet-up. And we're staying at the Clayton Hotel, which is in Ballsbridge in Dublin, just next to the RDS, which is the exhibition centre there, the Royal Dublin Showground. And so if any listeners would like to join us at the hotel, we'll put some stuff up on social media soon. We've got it all worked out. But that's what we're planning at the moment. So if people would like to come along and join us for some drinks and perhaps something to eat as well, we will be around at the Clayton Hotel, which is right next to the RDS in Ballsbridge in Dublin. So we're all flying in there on the Thursday, aren't we? Is that right?
Yes, Thursday. Yeah, right? That is Thursday. We're flying.
Because the show is Friday and Saturday, isn't it?
Yes, that's it.
Yes, and of course, drones is not a big subject that we've covered on the show previously. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about this and air mobility and the sort of thing that Neil Cloughley at Faraday has been talking about for many years as well, regional operations of different kinds of aircraft. So it's going to be a fascinating insight. I think we're going to learn an awful lot over the 2 days that we're there. So I'm really looking forward to going. And then we shall be putting that out as various segments on the shows that follow. But that is the plan at the moment anyway.
Yeah, there's going to be some great people there at the exhibition. There's going to be Avtrain. Some of you might have heard of Avtrain. Also Descent Cybersecurity are going to be there. And also Drone Space Limited are going to be there with a stand as well. So we're going to hopefully be talking to some of those guys. There's quite a few exhibitors going to be at that show, as well as some keynote speakers as well, isn't there? There's quite a few keynote speakers going to be at that event as well. Hopefully we'll be catching up with some of them as well to chat about their roles within the sort of UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle kind of thing. But it's kind of security as well, isn't it? It's sort of touching on cyber security as well within
it's
thing.
Covering an awful lot actually. Yeah. I think it's going to be extremely interesting, and I'm really looking forward to it, I must say. So the plan is we're flying out on, oh dear, I haven't got the exact details in front of me, but I'm sure that the show itself is it the first and
first and second it is.
First and second, Friday and Saturday. of 1st and 2nd of March. So on the 2nd of March, we'll try and do a meet up at the Clayton Hotel in the evening, and then we're all flying back on the Sunday.
Yes,
so that's the plan. So we'll stick it on the socials when we've got it all firmed up. But if you're listening to this, if you'd like to join us, send us an email to podcast@planetalkinguk.com. So it's just going to be a small meet up, but if everyone is around that would like to join us for a drink, you are most welcome.
Yes, we've already had one person, haven't we? Nev, who's interested in coming and meeting us. So that'll be lovely to meet them. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you if you're going to be in that neck of the woods when we're there. So it'd be great to see you. But looking forward to it, Nev. Can't wait.
Yes,
going to be good. Going to be good.
Do something different.
I'm off to Geneva at the beginning of February, which I'm looking forward to very much. You'd be pleased to know, Nev. Obviously, I'm flying BA. Albeit in seat 3A.
Oh.
I couldn't get. I did try. I did try to get 1A, but couldn't get 1A. So I got 3A instead. So 3A and C we're going to be on to Geneva.
Oh, you're taking Mrs. Stebbing.
Yes,
as well,
yes. I'm taking Gemma along with me as well. She's going to be joining. I'm going to be introducing her into the realms of business class travel with BA, Nev. So we're going to be lounge visit.
Excellent, very good. Now I hope you've got plenty of euros with you because, or Swiss francs.
Swiss francs, yes.
Sorry, because Geneva is a beautiful city, but is not the cheapest for hotels and eating. Let me tell you. But that does not normally stop you. So I'm sure you'll have a great.
It won't. We're very lucky. As us, all the team here on PTUK, we're very lucky to have friends such as Paul Papadimitriou from the Layovers podcast, because it's kind of Paul's second home. So I've had a very good lengthy chat with Paul, and he's putting together a little kind of go-to list of stuff to go to while I'm in Geneva. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But it's going to be great. But actually, Nev, going back to Dublin, I'm flying Ryanair out there. Yes, that airline that you're yet to travel on. I'm flying in seat 1A.
Really? Well, I'm surprised about that.
Yeah, seat 1A I shall be with Ryanair.
Yes. Well, good luck with that. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Nev.
And I'm sure it'll be memorable.
It'll be good. Andy, any chance of you joining us out in Dublin, or are you going to be sunning yourself in the Bahamas?
Dublin, you're there on March the 1st, aren't you?
Yeah.
I will be in Milan.
Oh.
Which will be nice. Yeah.
And warmer, too.
Yes, and, probably a little bit warmer. Yeah. I'm in the simulator there that week, doing more testing. So, yeah, unfortunately not.
And what, you got anything exciting planned for the next week then, Andy?
Next week, nope. I'm just working from home, cracking on, getting things done, ready for the summer semester of training.
Oh, exciting! I am surprised, Andy, you've not built yourself a home sim.
No. I've got a wife and a daughter. Do you think there's any chance of me being allowed to take over any more of the house to build a simulator?
True. Yeah, true.
No. I'll just keep my pub. I'm happy with the pub.
He's got a pub, exactly.
I'm happy with my playroom here. Look, I've got all my toys over there. I've got my guitars and stuff, so I'm happy.
Oh.
Captain Cruz has just put a message on the screen for you, Carlos. And apparently 1A on Ryanair is not optimal.
Oh.
He says it's right by the entry door, so it's a bit like the Gatwick versions of the BA A320s. It's a poor seat, he says, and you're in the way of everyone and everything during the boarding.
Oh, well.
There you are.
Well, it's 1A. I'm halfway there. To luxury.
There you go.
There you go. Nick, what's going on in the world of Nick next week? Any motorcycling? I expect it's warmed up a bit now, so it's not too cold.
It's getting better, and we're getting a bit more daylight in the evenings, so that's good. Yeah. So, hopefully, might be getting the bike out of the garage again soon. But no, it's just busy with work at the moment. Really, it's kind of it'd be nice to get winter out of the way, wouldn't it? I think.
Now, you've not been too long in your job, have you, Nick? You've got a relatively new job. I know you've been there for a little while now, but are you enjoying it, what you're doing?
I do enjoy what I do. yeah, so I'm a design engineer. I design and develop new products. Yeah, which is something I enjoy tremendously, actually. But yeah, although I must admit,
with a hand with some of the door designs, if you can get your Revit out and your 3D rendering and all that business.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I could sort that out in no time at all. Make sure the safety pins are all installed. Yes. But yeah, it's I think I've been in this particular job about 8 or 9 months now. But yeah, I must admit, I do probably. I think it's fair to say I do enjoy doing the show notes probably a little bit more. So yeah,
that's good. So
thank you for doing them as well. We could not do it without you. It's a big task, and because we're often quite late home from work as well. So thank you very much for continuing to do that.
No, it's a pleasure. It's good, and I think we all, as a team, we all enjoy doing it, and we all enjoy the contribution from our listeners. So thank you to our listeners as well. It's one of the fun things about it is having such a good community of listeners. And on that subject, actually, we should say that if any of you do have any emails or feedback or anything that you want to write into the show, we're always really happy to incorporate that in the show. So yeah, do please feel free to get in touch with us.
Very true. Very true. And I think we'll probably all end up sitting down together, not in a not too distant future, guys, and planning the air shows that we're going to be attending this year, because I know that they released the calendar for this year, 2024's air shows. So I think we'll sit down and probably arrange and see what ones we're going to attend this year, because I think with my social calendar a bit more flexible at weekends, that I'll definitely be able to attend more than we did last year, which will be nice.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm looking forward to it.
So, I'm going to wrap up the show. Nev, for the benefit of those people who may not know, or they should know, where can they ping emails and pictures and everything to us?
Yes. Well, so firstly, we're on all the socials, obviously, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search those platforms for Plain Talking UK and you'll find us there. We've got a WhatsApp number which we use, so you can send in comments and your pictures as well. It's +44 757 22 49166. That's +44 757 22 49166. The email for the show is podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and that's where you need to send your answers to for the competition, which was which firm produces these amenity kits exclusively for British Airways in the Club World section. So yeah, send that to podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Then we've got our website, www.plaintalkinguk.com, and of course we're on YouTube as well, so just search for Plain Talking UK on YouTube. And on the website you'll be able to see all the information about how you can become a Patreon of the podcast. So that helps us with the media hosting costs, the media serving costs, the website costs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, find out all the information there. And thank you to all of our people that contribute via Patreon and via PayPal as well.
Yes, thank you to one and all. You all help push a show along each week and enable us to do what we do, which we enjoy doing. It's good. So that's where we are going to bring episode 487 to a close. Going to say a big thank you to all the chat room tonight for joining us in there. Great to see all the faces in the chat room that have been in there tonight. And yeah, big thanks to everyone for tuning in. Also, not forgetting everyone who listens to the show as an audio podcast, because you know an awful lot of our listeners do listen to the show as an audio podcast. Thank you all for downloading the show each week and supporting us as a team. I'll be back next week. Nev, are you back with us next week? No, you're off.
No, I shall be in the Spanish region.
Yes, you are.
In Barcelona. So I shall be there next week. Whilst the show's on, I shall be entertaining customers and having a glass of wine. I hope you feel sorry for me whilst
I'm going to have a glass of wine next week on the show.
Yes, very good. So, yes, I shan't be with you next week, but I will be the week after.
Excellent. And thanks, Andy, for joining us tonight. Appreciate you coming on the show as always.
Pleasure, as always. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Have a good weekend. And Nick, thanks for all your hard work, and thanks for coming on the show as well this evening. Good to see you on.
Pleasure. Good to be here.
Good. And also big thanks to John as well, producer John, the voice in our ear, who's been pushing the various buttons this evening for me remotely. He's good like that. He's like a ghost, sort of floats around the studio here pressing the buttons. Anyway, that's it for the show. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. Stay safe, stay warm, and say goodbye, Nev.
Yes. Ta-ra, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of the week and weekend as well. All the best, and bye for now.
Well, we've done it. We've done it. Oh, my word. Managed to muddle on through, Nev.
Yes, I was just replying to Chris Marsh in the chat room there, who says, thanks very much indeed, and hope for the Wednesdays are better than Fridays for me, he says. And actually, that's working out quite well for us on the crew side of things as well. I have to say.
Yeah, we were slightly apprehensive and worrying if the change of live day would upset anyone, but touch wood, it's all been good.
Yes, and we've got a complaint, of course. It wouldn't be a show without a complaint. Dirk S. is saying that our copyright screen is outdated by 2 years. So we should be having a word with the production department. The excuses are being played in my ear as I speak, but we shall have a look at that.
We have excuses on the show.
We may not fix it, but we'll have a look at it. So.
Mima,
Mazu says they're on Norfolk time. Good point, yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, so we're going to, so the plan is for Dublin. The hotel that we're staying at is the Clayton Hotel at Ballsbridge. That's right next to the RDS where the event is, because we're all getting a bit old now and we can't
walk anywhere
or afford a cab. So we're going to stay next to the hotel. And actually, I think a lot of the conference speakers are going to be there as well. So that's quite nice too, which means we can get to chat to them. But yeah, I may have to get some more memory cards for the camera, because we're going to be doing a lot, I think. So
I can always bring some spares now. I've got some hefty, fast, megabyte-y ones.
Lovely, nice, yeah. But yes, and Alan White, our chum over there, has been very helpful because we're going to Dublin, which of course is in Europe, not the UK, so we need a bit of paperwork to get the gear in there. So he's been very helpful with advice and suggestions. So I've just got to put that together for the customs and excise boys and girls to keep them happy. Yeah, but no, really looking forward to it. It'll be.
Don't want to go getting your muff confiscated, Nev?
Well, no, we had the muff incident at
Dubai.
Dubai, of course.
Goodness.
So carrying the cameras through, everything else, no problem whatsoever. But the muff, they wanted to know a lot about that.
I'm not surprised.
It's very difficult to describe it.
Its reputation precedes it.
Yeah, and when they're in their second or third language as well, that was just. I was delayed for longer than I expected.
I was
Carlos
worried.
had already gone steaming through.
I
and
was genuinely worried.
I'm thinking, where the hell is he? But
well, this law's happened. The criminal record of that muff will follow it around.
Well,
it shouldn't have got thrown out of that bar in Dubai. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a reasonable point. Very reasonable. So no, but the muff made it out of quarantine, Richard Adams. So we're all right. So yeah, it's been very good. So yes, look, I always like as we're coming into spring a bit as well, because we start to do more outdoors things and more shows and this kind of stuff. Whereas during the winter months, we rely quite heavily on content that we pick up on the news feeds. Obviously, when I finish my real job in just over a year's time, I will have more time to do interviews and more long form stuff as well. Some of those multi-part interviews that we did the last couple of years as well with well-known people. So that will be good. And must have a word with the folks at Grub Street as well. Grub Street Publishing. We could do with some more books to give away, actually. So I'll have a word with them, see if they can help us with that. So, how's the cat doing, Carlos?
Oh, she's. I mean, I thought my little girl was bad enough at home, but
could you take the camera off of me? I'm feeling very self-conscious.
The thing of it is, as Matt will probably tell you, she poo-poos Matt. She doesn't want to know him. The minute I walk through the door here, she's just constantly at my feet all the time. But like I said, I'm a cat person. So that's probably why. Yes, I'm going to go and feed her in a moment, so I'm going to head off. But I think we're going to say goodbye to our glorious chat room for the evening. Thanks again to everyone in the chat room for joining us tonight. Really appreciate everyone tuning in on a Wednesday. And have a good rest of the week and weekend. And Nev, would you like to say goodbye to everyone?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks everybody for tuning in again this week. We really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the Wednesday format. It's certainly working well for us here as well, I think. So that is great. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week and the weekend. And the guys will be back same time next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time. Hope you have a great time. I shall be having a great time in Barcelona with the odd glass of sangria, possibly. So take care and bye for now.